Okay, hello and welcome to our very, very first Ladies Be Inspired session. We've been working quite hard to get you some really good speakers to come along and talk to you about the Architect program and their experiences with it, and all the doors it's opened up for them as we've been studying through the Architect part. So I'm really, really pleased to say today to welcome Debra from Salesforce, who's our director of the Partner Certification Program, and Doina from Capgemini, who is one of our certified technical architects. And thankfully, she was one I was able to meet quite recently in London. If I could ask everybody if you wouldn't mind just muting yourself until you have a question. You're very welcome to ask any questions if that's something that you want to do. Okay. So before we go in, I just want to announce we have 3 champions this month. Yes, one of them is me. But just to celebrate the achievements of our fellow group members, so Charlie and Priscilla, we know have achieved some architect certifications this month. So we just want to say, yes, I did get one last night. But we just want to say a very big congratulations to Charlie and Priscilla for their achievements this month on the architecture path. If your name's missing from this list, I do try and make a big fuss of everybody about at least once a month. If your name's missing from this list, it's because I use the community page to identify who's achieved certification. So please don't be shy. If you do achieve a certification, we would love to know about it. So please do post your achievements into the chatter group. Molly, can you go and check your bath, please? Thank you. So I also want to take this opportunity to call out a certain lady who worked very, very hard on our recent study groups. She very kindly ran 2 study groups on the OAuth, on the subject of OAuth, and I am reliably informed by her. Yeah, right. I'm reliably informed that she's actually now got her review board date for later in the year. So I just want to give Charlie a bit of a shout out and a show of solidarity and support, because she's got a tough road ahead of her, and we wish her every bit of success in her endeavour for CTA. So great job, Charlie, so far, and we'll be rooting for you as you continue. So today's agenda, what we've got is the pleasure of the company of Debra, who's the Director of Partner Certification Programs at Salesforce, and Doina, who's the Salesforce CTO and Certified Technical Architect at Capgemini in the UK. I'm going to start with Debra. Debra's going to take us through the Partner Certification Program, talk to us a little bit about why it's so important, or why so many women haven't been taking the architecture path. I love you too. Haven't taken the architecture path, and just try and drum up some enthusiasm and some inspiration for you all, so that you can leave this call knowing that it's something that you can do and that you're not alone in the mission. We're all here to support you. After Debra's finished her presentation or her talk, we're going to switch over to Doina, who's prepared some information for us to talk, and is going to talk to us as our guest of honour. You're both guests of honour, but with Doina, it's a particularly special achievement, since she was one of the first UK CTAs, and certainly one of the very few female CTAs that we have in EMEA. So Doina's very kindly given up some of her time to talk to us about her journey. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to pass over to Debra. Debra, do you want to be on the camera? Are you okay?
Sure. Yeah, put me on the camera. So Gemma pinged me this morning and she's like, are you ready for this? And now I feel very at home, because I'm like, no, I'm not ready to be on camera. I'm a working mom. I'm in my pajamas. I've been on calls, since early in the morning, and but I'm happy to see Molly's here, your cat's here. And actually, to be honest with you, I think, you kind of touched on something. I don't have formal slides to present about women on the path to CTA. I've only been at Salesforce about a year, so I can't tell you exactly why more women haven't attempted the review board. forward, but we are seeing more and more, and we are seeing a lot of success of women. But I would say I am actually seeing some real advantages for women, and the main advantage I see is sort of what I already saw in this meeting here, right? It takes a lot of work and support to become a CTA and put in all the studying and time and effort, and I see a lot of women supporting each other in juggling both their work life and their personal life, right? So I am absolutely thrilled to see the Ladies Be Architect group. And it's really what I was hoping for when I joined Salesforce and began looking at the Trailblazer communities in terms of people actually running study groups and celebrating their victories together, no matter what your goal is, whether it's to achieve one designer certification or whether you're on a path to a CTA. And I'm also thrilled to see the men that have joined the group and are on the call today, because I personally can say some of my best friends are females that I've met at work, and we've shared our struggles together. And also, I've had amazingly great support from male bosses and mentors and peers and coworkers. And I really hope, not long, there's no need for a specific Ladies Be Architect group. It's just all of us supporting each other. So thank you so much for that. The other thing, if I were to want you to take away anything from today, is that we are working really hard in the Trailhead team to demystify anything about the CTA and to try to help and support people on their journeys. I joined Salesforce about a year ago, and my background is really in large-scale program management and in learning. And every time I do a personality, kind of survey that you sometimes have to do for work, a Myers-Briggs or one of those things, I always want to be like the adventurer, the innovator, and I am always the caregiver, the nurturer. And so I think you can see some of the things that have happened over the last year have been because I'm trying to take a very different approach with my team. Suzanne Ford works for me, and we are trying to make ourselves extremely accessible to help people understand whether they're ready, to find resources to help them prepare, to do mock review boards and events at TDX and Dreamforce, so that what it takes to become a CTA is really understood by everybody, and people feel supported and like they can be successful on their journey no matter where they are. So that's really the main thing I want you to know, that Suzanne Ford and myself are always open to take a phone call, to answer a post in the community, and to try to have really personal interaction with each person on the journey, on their architect journey, and help you be successful. So that's probably one of the main things I want you to know. Along those lines, you probably saw, I don't know if I know, where can I share here? Is there like a screen share button? Joina? No?
So you should have a tab that says Quick Start, and there's a button that says Share Screen.
I don't have a Quick Start button.
So on the top.
On the top.
On the top you have Quick Start.
Yep, Share Screen.
Yep.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Can you guys see?
Yes, it's working.
So hopefully you saw the announcement that went out in the main Trailblazer community, as well as the Ladies Be Architect. And that is, we have recently, this was a huge amount of work, and we're so proud of it because we really think it's the right step forward for the community. We have gone back in a very close collaboration with our own internal Success Cloud architects and refreshed all of the architect resources. They are no longer in PDF. We've moved them all to trail mixes. And we think this is a huge advantage. It's a huge advantage to really trying to reach other people in the ecosystem, developers that are trying to grow their skill sets. It gives everybody really nice features in terms of being able to track their progress and really just being able to find things in one spot. And it also allows people to earn badges and points while they're on their architect journey. So if you go to the Trail Mixes page and you click on this one here, which is Architect Journey, Prepare to Become a Certified Technical Architect, you should really think of this as sort of like a table of contents, right? So it's because there's so much content and there's actually 10 trail mixes, we've bundled them or packaged them all together in this one sort of trail mix of trail mixes. So it won't track your progress. Just think of it as like your package or your table of contents, okay? In the very beginning, for people that are new, and I'm kind of sharing this with you so that you can also tell your friends and your peers, we really want people to follow them, right? So we can understand how many people are using them, their completion rate, so we can, try to encourage and nurture and help people on their journey. We've got program information, links to the community, and then below we have all of the different trail mixes that are aligned to each of the domains, okay? So when you click on one of those, again, once you follow it, you will have the ability to mark yourself complete on individual steps so that you can track your progress. And you'll see that we've divided them into 3 sections to make it a little bit more manageable, because there's a lot of content here, right? And we know it's sort of overwhelming, but the reality is there's a lot of content. So we've broken it into beginner sections, intermediate sections, advanced sections, and then also a hands-on activity section at the end. And what you'll see is a combination of trailhead trails, modules, and links to other content like implementation guides or community postings and other information that you might need. So it's a variety of different resources to help you be successful, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of this. So far, the feedback we've received is really great. And like I said, I think it adds a couple real big benefits. It's all in one place. It allows us to track, and it also allows us to evolve these much more easily. We are going to go back through now and try to add even more content from Trailhead. And we'll probably be trying to turn all of the hands-on exercises into actual Trailhead projects. So continue to look for an ongoing evolution, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that this was sort of the direction we were going. One of the other things that we have done is we've offered our first ever Architect Bootcamp at Trailhead DX next week. And I'm really excited to say it was the fastest selling bootcamp, and we actually sold the most registrations to it. So that was great news. And we're going, if you are coming to Trailhead DX, absolutely be sure to say hi to me and introduce yourself to Suzanne Ford. If you're not able to come, we're planning to do it again at Dreamforce. So there'll be more opportunities. So again, we're just everywhere we're turning, we're looking at how can we help people. Sort of the 3 mottos of Trailhead are learn, earn, and connect. So new Trailhead, trail mixes to learn, new events and boot camps at TDX and Dreamforce. And then the next thing that we just introduced that we haven't officially announced, so this is the first time we're officially announcing it here in the Ladies Be Architect, and that is once you have achieved your system and your application architect credentials, you are qualified to sit for the CTA review board. And to help people prepare, we have launched a new workshop. And we have piloted this 7 times, I believe, around the world to great success, and have also just started doing our very first for fee registrations in the United States, and they've filled up within days. There's a lot of demand. And Doina, I'm happy to say, is going to be one of our facilitators in Europe. So we're super excited about Doina's help in delivering this. So you should think of this workshop as sort of a certification prep workshop. We're not going to go through really deep technical detail on any of the domains. What we do in this workshop is We really give people practice and help understanding the exam expectations, managing your time, how to approach the scenario, and actual practice with real life scenarios from old review boards, solutioning and getting up and presenting your solution. So, so far, like I said, the feedback has been really, really positive, and people leave saying, I get it for the first time, how to really prepare for this. Some people actually decide they thought they were ready and they're not as ready as they thought they were. And to me, that's just as much as a success. My goal, again, is to have every single person that signs up for the review board really understanding the expectation, having all the support they need from Suzanne and myself to be successful. So that's really the goal. So I'm really excited about this new course. And like I said, we're going to be delivering it globally. We've got a couple sessions in the United States, a couple we're going to be scheduling in Europe, and also some more in Australia and India. So we're gonna bring it everywhere.
That's fantastic.
If you are interested in this, we will be personally inviting you. So as people achieve both system and application, we are announcing these courses. We look through the people that are qualified in the area, and we invite you. You also can always reach out to Suzanne Ford or myself, and you can also work through your training account executive. So those are some of the main things that Suzanne Ford and I have been doing. Again, the motto of Trailhead is really learn, earn, and connect. And so we're trying to look for more ways to help you learn, be it virtually or face-to-face or at events. We're trying to help make sure that everybody has whatever they need to earn whatever credentials are their goals. And then also trying to do more things to support events like this to help with the connection, because I think it's the collaboration of people on the journey themselves that is really the key to the whole thing, and honestly that I'm most excited about. So what questions, comments, things would you like to see from a program perspective?
Well, I think first of all, my comment would be, I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's going to add an extra dimension to the study. Did you mention that it's a paid workshop at this stage?
It's a paid workshop. Is $900, so the standard one-day price for our technical face-to-face training.
Okay, that's good to know. And you say this is focusing mostly on the sort of educating people around what's going to happen when you get to the review board, and what's going to be expected of you. Okay, so that's really good.
Pretty much, yeah. We bring everybody in the room and we immediately start going through exam objectives. And the funny part is, you realize that a lot of times people haven't taken the time to really internalize what the judges are looking for and what the exam is assessing. And we do that with a stopwatch and a little mini micro customer scenario as we go through the objectives, because we want to give everybody as much practice presenting with some time pressure and needing to solve customer requirements very quickly. Because when you think about the review board, it tests on a substantial amount of content and areas that are clearly documented in the exam guide. But it adds in the excitement of time pressure and a pretty complex customer scenario. So right off the bat, by kicking it off by looking at the exam objectives with a stopwatch and giving people mini scenarios to solve, people start to get the feel right away of the expectations of the exam. From there, we go into the scenario and what to expect, and what are some best practices to be able to synthesize that amount of information in a real short amount of time. Then we go through all the different, because what was really explained to me, which makes perfect sense now that I've watched people go through this process, is the exam isn't artificial right? It really is built around best practices for an architect. And if you're in a meeting with a CTO or a CIO, what's the best way to convey a lot of information really quickly? Well, this was some really good diagrams and artifacts and some drawings. And so we go through what sort of diagrams would make sense as you're trying to present a solution. How could you really clearly present your solution and any issues and risks, and how could you clearly annotate things so that you can be most time effective and also very, very clear about your solution and your recommendations. So then we go through that, and at each step along the way, we get people up and we practice and we debrief, and then we spend the entire afternoon. Like I said, I've been able to get my hands on some old scenarios that were really used in review board exams, and we simulate a test environment. We give everybody the same sort of supplies, the same sort of time frame, have people feel the pressure, because I'll be honest with you that it is a lot of pressure. So we have them actually get up and present in front of their peers, and we have everybody else in the class act as judges. Because once you put that judge's hat on, because we've just reviewed the exam objectives, and you're thinking like a judge, it helps you prepare as a candidate as well. So that's pretty much what we go through in the workshop. And it's also what I've also found, which thrills me to no end, is it becomes a wonderful networking event also. And I've never left a workshop without people sharing their email addresses and beginning to form study groups, which is absolutely wonderful. And Doina, you will find, I really make sure that people understand when you're in a workshop, for example, with Doina, it's not a lecture like class. You need to think of Doina as, almost like your PhD advisor, right? So you're getting a whole day to spend with someone that not only has passed the CTA review board exam, but has the wealth of real world experience that Doina does. And so it's really a special experience to be able to offer this. And I'm so thankful for Doina and the other CTAs that are willing to do this. And almost, across the board, nobody's doing this to make money. They're doing it to give back to the community. So it's a really great experience across the board.
That's absolutely fantastic, Debra. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm just going to give one more opportunity to ask Debra any questions before we switch over to Doina. Please be aware I've muted everybody, so if you're talking to yourself, that's wonderful, but we can't hear you. Okay, no problem at all. Debra, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving up your time this morning to talk to us. I'm going to switch over to Doina now so that she can present, and I'll take it away. Thank you very much.
Okay, so for Debra, it's the beginning of the day. For me, it's the ending of the day. So sorry if I'm too tired and maybe at some point don't make any sense. So please stop me and I can answer any questions and clarify everything, right? I just had a long day.
Yeah, likewise. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Molly's now singing to herself in the bath.
Okay.
So I'll go on mute.
Let me know what you guys are seeing, if you're seeing the presentation.
Presentation.
The notes. Okay, good. So first of all, I just want to quickly kick off by kind of expressing gratitude to yourself, Gemma, because I think it's amazing what you're doing with the Ladies Be Architects, because not only are you opening these kind of study sessions for the ladies who want to be CTAs, but also anyone else who wants to join the calls. You make the materials available to everyone, so I think that is really amazing, and I think that's really necessary in the community. So kudos, really appreciate it also from my side. Congrats on your 16th certification, am I right on that?
Yes, I didn't get the last one. I got the last one on the second attempt.
It doesn't matter. You got them, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for joining. And big thank you to Debra for everything that she's done, because this is exactly like she's saying, it's not about having the CTA is a very difficult exam, but also not about making it easy to pass. It's about making sure that everyone has the right level of preparation, everyone has the right level of materials available. And this is really amazing because I know the amount of effort that went into preparing those materials, and the fact that Salesforce is making them available on Trailhead is absolutely amazing. And the workshops that Salesforce is organizing are extremely valuable because from my experience, it's maybe half of the success that you have at the review board is in how you prepare your presentation. So how you know how much time it takes you to go through the scenario and solution the scenario, how you make the presentation in terms of the content that you draw, what's the best way for you to do that? Do you create a couple of PowerPoint slides and then do the solutioning and speak over it? Or so kind of finding that flow that works best for you is probably half of the success. And having that presence and that that kind of exercise of going through the hypothetical scenarios, trying to present a couple of times is extremely valuable. So it's not only about the technical knowledge that many of us manage to acquire, but it's also how do you present when you're put under that pressure and with such a huge amount of requirements to solve and the complex scenario. So that's extremely valuable. And I'm happy to be a part of it. And like Debra is saying, I'm just doing this because I want to kind of give back to the community. And I know what this means to the people who are trying to prepare. So please stop me at any time, Gemma, or the other people on the call if you want to ask questions or just say something. Congrats to everyone for embarking on the journey. I know it's a difficult one, but it's one from which you will get out with a lot of learning. So not only necessarily the CTA, but you will be very proficient in all of those technical subjects. You will learn a lot. You'll make friends. So congratulations to everyone for even getting on this path. Quick presentation of myself. I've been in technology for a long time. I have a lot of certifications. The CTA was kind of the top one. I have been very fortunate to be a part of the Salesforce company itself. So I've been working for Salesforce for about 5 years in the customer success group. And this is how I know about all of the effort that went into starting to prepare the documentation that Debra and the Salesforce team are making available now to everyone, because these are efforts that started in the CSG group and in the architects group to help people get better at preparing for the CTA and the presenting. So I know about these huge efforts. I'll just quickly go over that. And one of the questions that Gemma and I were discussing when we were speaking about this session was, why do you even want to try to go to be a Salesforce CTA and to go through this very difficult path? And to be honest, I think this is, from my experience, kind of a magic door opener. On one hand, it helps you very quickly position yourself as an expert, either within your own company, when you go talk to a customer, with other partners. So everyone knows the kind of level that you have from a technical perspective and also from a communication perspective. So this is a huge, amazing door opener. And to be honest, I would not be in the position and the situation in which I am at the moment if I did not have the Salesforce CTA. Debra, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think at the moment there are about 250-ish towards 300 CTAs worldwide. However, very few women CTAs still. I know about 9 of them, maybe there are a bit more at the moment, but it's very, very few of them. And I think with Gemma's efforts and these sessions, that number can increase. And again, it's about preparing everyone for the certification, not necessarily making it easier, but preparing everyone really strongly when they go to the board. And just giving everyone courage, whether they're a man or a woman who is doubting a bit, am I actually at the right level? Well, just go for it. train intensively, do a couple of these training hypothetical scenario presentations, and just go for it. Take the courage to go for it. I think it's a huge advantage if you manage to get through, and even if you don't get through from the first try, I've seen amazing architects who had to go to the board 3 times, 4 times, and they eventually passed. It's not a problem, even if you have to repeat a couple of times. And even if you don't pass, the learning is still so valuable that I think it's a huge advantage to go through the path. If you do manage to get the certification, then you're part of this kind of highly skilled, highly regarded community. Everyone in the community is your friend. It doesn't matter if Gemma is at Blue Wolf and I'm at Capgemini and Debra is at Salesforce. It really does not matter. We're all one community, and this is what we try to do to help each other, to help others, regardless of where they are, to get this kind of level of knowledge in Salesforce. And yeah, last but not least, there's a money value associated to it. Of course, there are usually extra bonuses, better paid jobs, so it's really also a financial advantage to have it. I left it as the last point because that is usually not the driver for people to go for it, because you can get a bit of extra money otherwise and not go through this kind of difficult path. But I think all of the other components that I mentioned, the first 3 points, I think are the most valuable ones, though we can't ignore this one too. Any questions so far, or things that anyone else wants to mention? Am I making sense at this hour, or?
No, you're doing brilliantly. Thank you.
Okay, so you people can understand what I'm saying. That's good. Okay, what inspired me to try to become a CTA, and I have any reservations? These were other great questions that Emma asked me, and to be honest, to me it was, I will try to be the best I can no matter what I do. So if Salesforce was the path that I chose because I thought it was really interesting from a technology perspective, from a business vision, in terms of how it tries to blend the two, the business and the technology behind it, I thought, okay, I'm going to try to be the best I can in this technology and just aim for the sky. My approach was, yep, I think I can, and I will do everything I can to get this. So I started by thinking, what topics am I really strong at? Because I had some level of experience, I had exposure to complex programs, I had a lot of development experience. So to me, it was, I started by looking at the points where I thought I was strong in, and then identifying those points where I still needed improvement. And then I thought, how do I actually bridge that gap, and who can help me bridge that gap? That is a very important question. We shouldn't be on this path alone. We should be reaching out to other people who we believe can help us. And whether you have a strong technical background or a functional background, it doesn't really matter. Just think of this path as kind of problem-solving excellence, not necessarily technical deep dives, but problem-solving mindset. And then try to identify those points where you need to bridge those gaps of knowledge. And honestly, even if I was technically very knowledgeable already, I still had a lot of learning to do. So it's not like if you've been a great developer or a great architect, you're just going to get it. No, you still need to learn a lot. Challenges, I did have challenges through my path, both professional and personal challenges. So when I embarked on the path, I was still at Salesforce. So I'll just briefly go over this, and I can give more details if you're interested in this. So when I started, I embarked on this path while I was still at Dreamforce. So we had this kind of mentorship program, which was amazing. And I started about like 3 months before I wanted to go for the board. did a couple of mock scenarios, very, very similar to what Debra is now making available to everyone in the community through the workshops. And what happened was I was slowly making progress. In the first couple of scenarios, I was not able to find my cadence. I was not able to find exactly how I should present the scenario. I was trying to go too deep. I'm a perfectionist, so it was a bit of a struggle to find the way I want to present the solution. And I was just not getting a passing mark from my mentor. That was it. For the first kind of 3 scenarios, I was just not getting a passing mark. Then I started getting passing marks, and I was feeling like I was improving. I was studying more. I was actioning on the feedback that I had from my mentor. And then I had a personal challenge with my father, unfortunately, falling from some stairs, having a huge problem from a health perspective. And it's interesting how all of those personal challenges reflected back into my preparation. So it really set me back a lot, and I fell on the following scenario again beneath the passing mark, just because of that kind of emotional impact that the whole episode had on me at the middle of the preparation. So my advice, even if something like that happens, a personal challenge, just don't give up. Think, okay, I'm in a situation, what do I need to do to turn it around? How can I just get back on my feet and get going again? So again, I reached out to my mentor, to a couple of more people who I thought could help me, and just said, look, I'm in this situation. I fell back down under the passing mark. I need more support. So everyone kind of jumped in and helped me get up to speed again from an emotional perspective, from a preparation perspective, and eventually it all paid off because I was able to pass the CTA from the first time with one of the highest marks as far as I know. So it all paid off because I identified what I needed to improve, who can help me. When I had a personal challenge, I still tried to get back, asked again for even more help. People jumped to help me. That was really great, and this is why I'm also doing this, to kind of give back to the community, and eventually paid off. So, encouragement, just don't give up. Go ahead. This is my advice in terms of what are the actual skills that you need for the board. Like Debra was saying, it's not only about the deep technical and functional Salesforce knowledge. That's just a component of it. It's about enterprise architecture knowledge in general. It's about problem-solving skills. So if the people on the board, the judges, will challenge you on some of the points from your solution, how are you able to change your mind or to change the solution according to what new input they're giving you? So it's about, how do I look at the bigger problem and find the best solution, not only from a technical perspective, but what makes sense from for the customer overall in terms of security, in terms of governance. So even if some of the judges will slightly change the path and the requirements to see how you adapt, you still need to be in that kind of problem-solving mode. It's about project and program governance. Think about the challenges and the risks that if you were to lead the implementation of such a complex program, how would you approach it? Do you need to put governance in place? Would you go agile? Would you go waterfall? Would you go a mix of it? So these kind of aspects. It's about stakeholder management skills. Like Debra was saying, again, it's about how do you stand up if you have to present and to talk to a CIO, a CTO, so a kind of CXO level that will not have time or patience to listen to every point that you're trying to make, but will need to understand in simple words what you're trying to achieve. Presentation and communication skills, again, and that kind of executive presence. Don't start to mumble and don't get put off by being challenged, but try to really justify your solution frankly say why you believe that is the best solution. And of course, it might not be exactly the solution that the judges were considering, but if it makes sense and if it's a good one, then they will consider it. It doesn't matter if it's on the scoring sheet or not. Any questions so far?
Can you recommend any good websites or reading materials that we could look at to help us with this as well? The biggest concern I have around presentation and communication skills and executive presence, for me it's quite difficult to understand what executive presence looks like. So I was just wondering if there's any good videos, TED Talks, anything that you could recommend that we look at?
I don't have anything prepared at the moment, but I'll think about it and I'll send you something. Yeah?
Thank you. Do feel free to post it into the chatter group if you'd like to share it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So more around the soft skills and the presence and communication piece, right?
Yes, yeah, more specifically.
The thing I would recommend is recently Matt Morris agreed to make a presentation available for free that was posted on Pluralsight about diagramming Salesforce solutions. And while it is about the diagramming, I think it also sort of speaks to the level of presentation. So I think one thing I would say that Doina touched on just a minute ago is it's about having a point of view. So it's not the presentation skills that you look like you're a marketing person, right? Or that you're using a lot of fancy words, and certainly trying to throw out a lot of buzzwords is not what the judges are looking for. But I think it is a confident point of view from an architecture perspective. And like Joina just said, you know, they're looking, it doesn't necessarily, they're looking more for your justifications, your rationale, your explanations, right? So it might not be, you know, obviously it has to be technically correct, but they're also interested in the way that you articulate your perspective and your reasoning behind your solutions. So I would say that that's very, very important when it comes to the presentation style that they're looking for. And then, you know, because Doina talked about this too, because you're so limited in time, it really is also about being very clear and concise in the way that you represent your point of view and your solution. So I would think of it in terms of that when it comes to presentation skills and really the solid diagrams, etc., and being able to be very, very concise. It's not about, you know, being a marketing style presenter.
Absolutely. So I fully agree with that. And it's about, so what judges absolutely hate is if you use buzzwords and are too generic. If you say something like, I see a large data volume requirement here, and this is how I would address it, you need to be very specific. My estimation of the data volume in this object is about this, and because of this, I am looking at custom indexes on this field or whatever optimization methods you want to put in place. So it's about being very clear about what you're trying to do and very specific. So just don't be generic.
One last little anecdote. I've actually seen some of the best presenters struggle. Like if you were to actually judge someone on their presentation skills. And I saw two different scenarios. I saw a candidate who came from very much more of a business consultant side. And what really threw him off was the judges have their heads down scoring. It's a lot of work that the judges are trying to score you on all the different requirements. And so their heads are down, and he was so much more used to a give and take style presentation with his soft skills that it was a struggle for him, and he really had to adapt. I saw another, and this is why the workshops are so helpful, is you get to practice this. Another guy and he's actually helping us deliver the workshops now. I actually had to take it. He failed his first attempt, and I had to take him aside, and I said, "You're too good of a presenter." Like, he likes hearing himself speak, and he would, prior to presenting any of his recommendations, he would present all of the different solutions that he didn't end on. So, like, he would go through his entire rationale and thought process, and it was interesting, it was well presented, but he simply ran out of time. So so the funny part is sometimes being a really good presenter can actually be a little bit of a challenge, and that you need to think about the time constraints, what the judges are looking for, what they're trying to do, and wrap that into the whole thing, and that's why the workshops are helpful. So.
Exactly, and these are exactly the points that I was struggling with in the beginning. How do I actually get to present, in the first place, to solution the whole thing in due time, and then to present efficiently my entire solution? Because there are some specific things that the judges are looking for, and this is kind of the list that I put together in terms of the content of the presentation that you need to get through, and this needs to be done in 45 minutes. So imagine needing to touch on every single point here and on every single requirement in just 45 minutes. You need to be extremely to the point, and if you have a couple of options you're thinking, like Debra was saying, just don't go and present each single one of them and run out of time, but just say, my recommendation is, there are other options we can discuss if you want. And maybe some of these kind of discussions push to the Q&A part of the presentation, but make sure that during those 45 minutes in which you have to present your solution, you get through every single point that you need to cover. I don't think this is any surprise for anyone what I have on this page, so I won't stay too long on this unless you want me to go back to it. My tips for preparing: study intensively, study in depth all of the available resources, whatever Debra just shared, whatever you can get your hands on in terms of training, do go and study those. So like I was saying, I felt pretty comfortable in most areas from a technical perspective. I still studied a huge amount of time on security, single sign-on. So I really went into a lot of depth and hands-on training, regardless if I thought I knew the subject or not, because you need to kind of cover the details. Mentorship with one or a couple of CTAs is hugely valuable, and this is why the workshops that Salesforce is now so generously making available to everyone is an amazing thing, because it really helps you get on track. These people who have been through the board can tell you, by just hearing you present, by looking how you're solutioning the scenario, by understanding your experience, they can pretty much tell you if you have a chance or not to pass. So it's really valuable to get their input. If you prepare with one of the CTAs, just don't mind if they rough you up, if they tell you go back and study, this was not good, you need to do better. Just don't mind. I felt after some of these mentorship sessions like I have been literally beaten up, and that was for a good purpose, and I fully trusted my mentors that they are doing this for my good, because otherwise I would not pass the board. So just fully trust them.
Doina said something really important there, and that's when all of it is important, but when she touched on hands-on, right? We see a lot of people that they start practicing and they get pretty good at the time management. They get pretty good at the diagramming, but it becomes obvious that they haven't had the depth and breadth in real world experience. So go build some, you've got Trailhead, you get your playgrounds, you have, stretch assignments you can take on work, but the real life experience versus just feeling like you know it because you passed the designer exams, there's a big difference.
Exactly, and I think it's great that now Salesforce has made this kind of pyramid of certifications leading up to the review board, because I think the distance between just passing the multiple choice exam and being prepared for the review board was just too big to be covered. And some people were managing to cover it, but others were just thinking, okay, I've passed the multiple choice, now I can immediately register for the review board. And that was a completely different experience that they were just not ready for. But by having these kind of intermediate certifications and the designer and architect certifications, you get much better prepared to go through that path, and it's much more structured. Other recommendations from my side, just review materials, join a study group like Gemma has put together here. Definitely join the chatter group that is on communities. I think that's very valuable. Salesforce is posting materials, notifications there. Everyone is collaborating, so I think that is really helpful. And do try to solution the hypothetical scenarios. There are several of them posted in the chatter group, and just go through them, try to solve them, try to review them with some of your senior colleagues or CTAs if you have any available to help you. And definitely go for the prep workshops that Salesforce is putting together. Those are, I think, amazing. Yeah, just quick summary of the training resources that I know at the moment are available officially from Salesforce. And from my side, this is kind of my wrap-up slide. Like I was saying, just don't give up, keep going, enjoy the journey, learn as much as you can. If you manage to get the CTA from the first path, huge congratulations. If you don't, just don't get scared and go at it again. There are many people who are currently CTAs who have not passed from the first try. And it's fine, and most of them have said, yes, that was very valuable, even the fact that I failed the first time, maybe just one section, maybe the whole thing, because it forced me to go back and learn all of the things that I realized now I did not study properly for. So definitely go at it and just don't be put off even if you don't manage to get it the first time.
Can I echo that? Because you started your presentation that way also, Doina, and if everybody was listening, the first thing she said was, why did she even do this? And she said something to the effect of, because she decided she wanted to be the best at anything that she sort of took on. And sometimes I see people put so much pressure on themselves for the CTA credential, right? And don't get me wrong, I mean, my metrics are tied to all these things. So of course I want everybody to become CTAs. But honestly, I think the people that I see that are the most successful are the people that are trying to become the very best architects and to learn as much as they can and challenge themselves and give back and help each other. And obtaining the CTA becomes a byproduct of that. People that tend to be so focused on just achieving a credential, sometimes they are blinded to their weaknesses, and it becomes more challenging. So I would say, like Doina said, enjoy the journey of it, the collaboration, your fellow trailblazers, trying to learn and be the best architect you can, and let the byproduct be the excitement of passing these certifications along the way.
Yep, I fully agree. Thanks, Gemma. Thanks, everyone. Questions, if you have any, I'm happy to answer anything.
I have a question. My name is Rowan, and I've really enjoyed being in this ecosystem, and I'm getting older. And I'm wondering if the CTA is valuable enough to overcome age discrimination. I'm looking for where can I thrive in Salesforce as I become an older woman, and there's already so much age discrimination in technology, and it's way worse for women. The other path I thought would just be to, be a developer so that I'm kind of behind the scenes. So I'd like some thoughts on that, please.
Well, what do you see, Doina, from I mean, I'm in a different role. I'm not a CTA, and I happily just turned 50. So I'm not paying that much attention to the age of people that I work with. I'm just trying to have fun along the way, but I don't know if Joina experiences something different.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm getting older too. I'm already 40 going to 41, so that's not exactly young age. What I can say is that having the CTA has enabled me to pretty much choose what I want to do. Do I want to go and be a developer and be very deeply hands-on and just do coding? If I want to do that, I have an opportunity to do that any day because I have the CTA. Anyone would trust me that I have that capability. So if that's the path you want to take, you can do that without any questions. On the other hand, I would not have the CTO role that I have at the moment if I did not have the CTA. So if having an executive track is what you want to do and going kind of up the ladder, that is also an option. So really, this is why I was saying this is kind of a door opener, like a magic wand. It really allows you to choose your path. Because if you go to, this is something funny I was discussing with Gemma when we were talking about the webinar. If I interview someone at the moment that I want to recruit in my team, and they have a CTA, I don't even question them on the technical knowledge because I know it's there. I know he's been really turned upside and inside, and someone has really checked that in depth. I don't even ask them about their technical capabilities. What I do is try to convince them that the team that I'm leading is the right one, and also to understand if they are the right kind of profile for my team. So to me, it's more about, is this a cultural fit? Am I able to fulfill the expectations of this individual who is very technically skilled, but am I able to actually fill those expectations so that this person will be staying with my company for a long time? It's a completely different kind of power play that you're able to do if you have the CTA, in my perspective.
I'm mostly told from people that they need to turn their LinkedIn off because they get so many job offers.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's true.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
We have some questions, Gemma, and someone wants to see the previous slide, and we have some questions too. I'll take the first one, the format of the board. So you are given, you go into a room, and you have 2 hours. You have a proctor with you. You have a choice between a laptop and a Mac, and it has no internet access. It has PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Excel on it, and a soft copy of the scenario, I believe. You'll also be given a hard copy of the scenario. It's typically 7 to 10 pages. You have pens, regular 8x11 paper, as well as flip chart paper, and a series of markers. And you're given 2 hours to come up with your solution and all of your diagrams and your artifacts. Then the facilitator, so there's a proctor and a facilitator. A facilitator is typically someone like Suzanne Ford, or we have another lady that helps us, Lisa Kinnear. And they will get you something to drink, kind of relax for a couple minutes, and they will move your laptop or Mac if you've used it. You don't have to, it's up to you. And all of your supplies, your whatever you've drawn on your flip chart paper, if you've decided to do that. And they will move it into the room where there are 3 judges. Then you will come into the room and you'll have 45 minutes to present your solution to the judges. It won't be a two-way interaction. Like I said, the judges, for the most part, will have their hands down, typing on their computers as they are independently scoring your presentation. So they don't know how each other is scoring it, okay? And it's a weighted rubric, right? So they also can't tell themselves until they're completely done what your overall score is. So they're very carefully trying to evaluate you on each of the assessment areas and the requirements. Okay, so it's very unbiased. Then you'll finish, and if you end before 45 minutes, any extra time gets added into your Q&A period with the judges. So you'll finish your main presentation, you'll go out again, we'll We'll offer you something to drink. You'll be pacing around, thinking about what you did right, what you did wrong, and we'll try to kind of get you relaxed again. And then the judges are at this point talking about your presentation. Many times people are thinking that the judges are trying to poke holes or find fault in their solution. It's actually just the opposite. The judges really want you to pass. Suzanne and I want you to pass. And when someone passes, we actually high-five each other. We're so excited about it. So actually what the judges are talking about is maybe things in your presentation that you forgot to cover, maybe things where you ran out of time. Maybe it is some areas where your solution didn't seem like the optimum solution. So it could be any of those things. And the judges then in Q&A will actually begin to ask you questions. And like I said, most of the time they're trying to give you the benefit of the doubt and give you more opportunity to demonstrate the required knowledge and skills. Okay, so you actually should think of the judges as your friends because they're actually trying to give you opportunities to cover as much content as you can so you can have your highest score possible. Then you will be done with your presentation. We'll walk you out and say goodbye. We try to get you the results back. We've really been trying to get the results back much more quickly, usually by the end of the week or the following week. Sometimes there's a delay because we are doing multiple review boards around the world at the same time, okay? And so we don't want the word to start going out, oh, yay, congratulations, 3 people passed, or the word to get out that people failed, because then that's actually, it can throw people off. So we try to just keep it completely quiet during the whole exam period, because sometimes we have multiple exams happening at the same time. And then after you leave, the judges, again, go through, finally, we actually tally up all the scores, and if there's any difference of opinion between the judges on every single requirement, if people have differed too much in their perspective, we discuss it with the judges. And this can take hours. You think it's exhausting to prepare for the review board? These judges put an equal amount of time trying to make sure that your end result or your final pass or fail result is, a fair one. So we discuss it for a long, long time and spend a lot of time with that. You have to receive an overall score as well as pass all of the sections, and this is outlined in the exam guide. If you fail just one section, for example, security, then you can come back and do a retake just on that one section. Okay, so that's kind of the format of it. And then when it comes to hypothetical scenarios, etc., there are scenarios that are available in the Architect Trailblazer community. Gemma might have them posted in her community too. There also are 2 digital learning courses on system and application architect, and there are scenarios there as well. So use those. Also, if you sign up for the workshop, you will receive additional scenarios that have not been released to the public. And again, to be honest with you, it's not about making money or keeping them secret. They're extremely expensive to write because I have to hire CTAs, which are very busy to write the scenarios. And so the reason why I am keeping them a little bit under lock and key is there's not a huge pool of them, and I also want to be able to simulate the test environment to help people. So if they all get around the internet and everybody's just read them over a cup of coffee, they're still good and they're still valuable, but they're even more valuable if I can really simulate a test experience for people and have people's hearts start beating a little bit and have the time pressure on them and give them a scenario they've never seen before. It's more closely simulating the environment, and I think it will benefit people more. So that's the reason. The final thing I'll say is if you want more, I'm going to kind of sort of challenge people, right? Because this actually would be a great activity. Go look at some of the scenarios in the community, use some of your real life projects, and write some scenarios for the study groups that you're part of and share. By going through the process of really looking at the scenarios that are out there, breaking them down and trying to construct your own, you're going to learn a lot about how to analyze a scenario for your own review board. So I'll stop there, and then there are a couple for Doina.
That is an absolutely brilliant idea and very inspiring. I think that's something I want to go and do. I just have one quick question before we close the call. In terms of registering for the review board exams now, is it the same? What's the process? Do we have to wait for them to be held in our region?
Okay, so there will be a new list being posted soon on where they're going to be, but the main change I wanted to make here is I didn't want it to be first come, first serve like a hot concert ticket. If you are interested in the review board in the next 6 months, you can go ahead and log a case now. Because what I would much rather do than waiting for people to come to see a review board date and location posted and have it be a first come, first serve basis is get Suzanne on the phone with you and start talking about and have a very personal relationship with you on your readiness, right? She can help you assess where you are in your process. She can share the schedule with you for the entire year. So you can begin talking about your work schedule, your personal life schedule, and what you're happening so that you can put your very best foot forward, right? So she can help you kind of map out, based on the locations, the workshops, everything that we're aware of, kind of what your best path is to help you. So if you're ready in the next 6 months or so, you think, go ahead, log yourself a case, and Suzanne will set up a conversation with you, and we'll begin a very sort of personal relationship in helping you prepare versus you just thinking, well, I don't know when the next review board is going to be. I see it listed on the site. I better just sign up for it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Deborah. I'm going to leave it there because we've run over by a few minutes, but I think we'll all agree that it was absolutely fundamental, some of the learnings that we've had today. I hope that you will leave the call today feeling a little bit more encouraged to start tackling the CTA journey. As we said, you don't have to necessarily want to do the full CTA. You can choose whichever side of the pyramid, take as much as you like at this stage, and then maybe tackle it later. We're not all about pushing you for CTA if you're not ready and you don't want to do it. What we want to do is just support those people who have decided to take on any part of the journey. So that's the exams and the review board. And I really look forward to seeing some of the scenarios that people come up with. Please feel free, as Deborah said, to put some together and share them. I know that we actually use them for job interviews at Blue Wolf. So we have a couple of scenarios that have been written, and we use them to assess a candidate's technical skills and knowledge. And that's worked really well. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very, very, very much to Deborah and to Doina for giving up your time this morning and this evening. I'll let you go and put your feet up, grab a cup of coffee, grab some lunch, grab some dinner, watch some television, and I really hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was great. Bye. And good luck, everyone.
Thank you.